Alright, we're actually back right now. We are actually back. We are so back. I think I actually have back pain from how much back we are. Like, there's so much back that it's hurting my back because we're back. But anyways, what we're doing here is, I just thought I'd make a Plants vs. Zombies 2 tier list for fun because I want to get my opinions out there on each and every single plant. And, yeah. So before I start the video, or before I start the tier list rather, I want to say that these are opinions. They are exclusive to me and maybe to a few of you. I am by no means a pro player, although I wish I was. But yeah, these opinions are most likely going to be really stupid, seeing as though I am an ignorant person. But without further ado, let's get into the ranking. So, oh yeah, by the way, I'm also going to be ranking only like world plants, so no like premiums or anything like that. At least I'll leave that for another video. Pea shooter, D tier. It only shoots 1 P at a time. It's not very good with crowds, except maybe for its plant food, but even that is it's arguable whether it's good or not. Sunflower on the other tier, or on the other hand, is A tier. This one goes without explaining. It's the first sun producer you get. It's really good considering that it um, produces 50 sun instead of 25, like in the last game, so that's good. Walnut, oh, it's either A or B for me. I'll put Walnut in A tier, probably. He's a good wall. He's a really good wall, at least in my opinion. Um, like I said, he's only 50 sun. He has a moderately fast recharge rate, so there's not much problem with that. Stalling always helps against zombies, so that's good. Potato Mine, ooh, this one's tough. Potato Mine is either C or D tier for me. Now, hear me out. This is why. It's because I'll put him in C tier. In this game, stalling isn't as important as it was in the first game. In the first game, one zombie would come at a time in a different lane for like 3 or 4 zombies before the next one even came, if that makes sense. But in this game, the level progression is so fast that you can plant one potato mine down, zombie steps on it, explodes, and then a whole wave of zombies just comes onto the screen, and potato mine is useless against that. Alright, so potato mine is not a really good plant. Takes quite a bit of time to arm itself, and there are better insta-kill plants and better stalling plants, at least in my opinion. So that's why it's only C tier. If this was Plants vs. Zombies 1, it'd definitely be S tier. That shit is godlike. Anyways, Cabbage Pole, D tier. There are better lobbing plants in general, like Pepper Pole, Kernel Pole, and Wintermelon, for just an example. Its plant food is decent. While it does help a little bit with area, the damage isn't as good as it should be. But, yeah. Cabbage Pole is bad. Bloomerang is really good. To be honest, I can't remember if it hits like only 3 targets or all the targets. I think like the number of targets it hits increases as you level it up. I'm pretty sure. But even if it only hits 3 targets, it's still kind of good. If it's arguable, if you want to put it in B tier, I won't mind. It's just I kind of have a bias towards Bloomerang. I'll put him in B tier, whatever. Iceberg lettuce is S tier, bro. When you level the plant up, oh my god, it is so good. You can freeze multiple of zombies, and it only costs 0 sun, and it has a really fast recharge rate as well, and its plant food is really good too. So, iceberg lettuce is arguably one of, if not the best plant in the game, in my opinion. Gravebuster, Gravebuster is, I don't know. He's only usable, like, in 3 worlds or something. I guess arena mode does count, but I don't really want to go over that since I don't know too much about that. I'll put him in A tier because he does destroy graves at a decent rate. Although you may not, you may want to pick like something that goes through graves, maybe like Snapdragon or Lightning Reed or Laser Beam or the Aki, for example. Gravebuster still does a pretty good job of destroying graves, and it only costs 0 sun, so that's good. It's also really good when leveled up. Bonk Choi is A tier. It has a really high hit speed. It's cheap for what it does. Its plant food is pretty good. Yeah, it's just an overall really good plant, especially when paired up with like something like walnut or infinite even. Tall nut as well. Repeater, hmm. I say repeater C tier. It's basically just pea shooter, but it shoots two peas at a time. Its plant food is better, more expensive, but that doesn't really matter. At least not too much. Twin sunflower is probably A tier as well. In my opinion, a lot of the sun producers are really good in this game. Uh, Twin sunflower not being an exception. Its plant food is really good. It produces double the sun a regular sunflower does, and since regular sunflower is in A tier, I think twin sunflower also deserves to be here. Kernel pole is C tier. It doesn't do that much damage. The butter is good. Its plant food does help at stalling, but it just doesn't do that much damage, at least to be that viable. So that's just my take on it. Snapdragon is A tier. It hits the 6 tiles in front of it, which is really good. It does piercing damage, which means it hits multiple zombies at a time. Its damage may not be the best, but when you have something blocking it like a walnut or a tall nut or something like that, it's still a really good plan, at least in my opinion. It stacks really well with other snapdragons as well, and its plant food is good. Spikeweed. Hmm. I say Spikeweed B tier. Because Spikeweed, while being good, its damage is okay. It does have a lot of counters that can destroy it, like Excavator Zombie, Gargantuars, Barrel Rollers, etc. But apart from that, it's a good plant, especially when paired up with like something like Walnut. Its plant food is decent, but yeah, Spring Bean is situational as shit. All right, here's the reason why. In Pirate Seas, it's god tier. One plant food can take out the entire board, but in other worlds, it's really lame. It can take out a Gargantuar. It can one-shot a Gargantuar for only 50 sun. It does have a recharge, but yeah, it's just extremely situational, and it can only insta-kill in one world. So yeah, Coconut Cannon on the other hand is B tier, if not A tier. Um, it does have a high sun cost, which does knock it down a few things, but it does 3x3 damage as well. It has a decent recharge rate between firing, um, and its plant food is also really good. So I'd just put him in B tier. If you want him in A tier, that's also arguable. Three Peter is, I say B tier. They stack really well with each other while they're almost like pea shooter and repeater. I feel like they're a little bit better because they shoot in 3 lanes and they only take up 1 space. So that's really good. They do cost a little bit of sun, but like if you stack like twin sunflowers and stuff, affording 3 Peters won't be that bad of a cost. Spike Rock is probably A tier, if not B tier. It does lose to the same zombies that Spikeweed does lose to, like Gargantuars and Excavator, but it has a bit more health than Spikeweed does, and it does do more damage, so that's what bumps it higher, obviously. Cherry Bomb, it's I say A tier. If we're ranking like just world plants, it's a good 3x3 damage plant. Especially for 150 sun, that's almost nothing. It costs the same as a Snapdragon and Bok Choy, and I feel like it does a little bit more than them. Um, but yeah, Cherry Bomb is really good. Split Pea, I guess Split Pea could be put in C tier. It is a bit situational. There are zombies where you do need to use Split Pea for them to counter, but apart from the counters that Split Pea does, apart from the zombies that Split Pea does counter, it doesn't really do much. So that's why it's only here. Chili Bean is a good insta-kill plant. Only being thwarted by like cone mechs and stuff like that. It does kill the zombies, and it does stall the zombies behind that one zombie in the lane, and only for 50 sun as well, so it's pretty good. I think it's underrated though. Maybe I'll make a video about it. I'm not sure. I'm not too smart in Plants vs Zombies, like I guess strategy. Peapod is C tier. While it can stack up to 5 pea shooters in one tile, that's a lot. That's a lot of sun that you need. To max out one Peapod, I think it's 600 sun. That is insane. I'm just that's just rough math. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 600 sun for one maxed out Peapod. I don't really think that's worth it when you can put two three-peaters and like cover the entire board. But that's just me. I think Peapod is C tier, just average. Lightning Reed is B tier. It shoots really fast. It has a cheap cost, and even though it does merely no damage at all, it does attack multiple zombies, which is always a plus. Yeah, I really like Lightning Reed. Melonpole is B tier. Hmm, maybe B tier if not A tier. Maybe I could put it in A tier. It does do heavy damage. It also does do 3x3 damage. And its plant food when there's like a giant horde of zombies on the board is really good. I don't really think there's much to say about melon pulp, but Tallnut is. Hmm. I guess Tallnut could be either A or B tier. The only reason I'm considering ranking it lower than Walnut is because, yeah, it blocks low flying zombies like probably Balloon Zombie and the cow rider, whatever it's called, cowboy. I'm not sure. I don't know. Um, there just aren't really that many good counters to it. Sure, it has like double the health a regular walnut has. But other than that, it doesn't really have much over regular walnut. I'll put it in A tier, but just keep that in mind. Wintermelon is S tier. A tier, if not S tier. I'm gonna put him in S tier because he does everything Wintermelon does, but he slows down the zombies, which is really good. Stalling is really good in this game, in my opinion. And his plant food is just better. I think he does more damage than regular melon pult too, so that's always a plus. Hot potato is situational, but in those situations, it's all right. It does damage zombies on the same square that it's melting an ice block. It does cause zero sun, and it does have a relatively fast recharge rate, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it does really help out in Frostbite Caves. Pepperpult is probably B tier, if not A tier. I believe it does do 3x3 damage. It doesn't do as much as a Melonpult does, and it doesn't, its plant food isn't as good, but it does warm up other plants near it, so that is a plus that it has. It's only 200 sun, so that's not that much. Yeah, it's a pretty good plant. I have negative bias towards it, but I think removing my bias, it would put it in B tier. Chard Guard is probably A tier. It does have good synergies. Aloe Chard Guard, for example. Although it's not the perfect combo, it does work extremely well. Its plant food is also decent. It's only 75 sun, sure, and it does act as a mini walnut when it does lose all of its leaves. So it's a pretty good stalling plant. Stunyon is A tier. It's basically iceberg lettuce if it costs sun. That's pretty much all it is. Except its plant food is worse. But it does stun zombies instead of freeze them. There is a difference because stunning zombies in Frostbite Caves is you know, you're able to do that, whereas you can't freeze zombies in Frostbite Caves. So that's where Stunyon shines. But they're pretty interchangeable, I think. Stunyon's still pretty good. Rhotabega, B tier. I feel like Rhotabega is a discount starfruit. It also can hover over water in Big Wave Beach, so that's also a plus. It does do good damage. It just like I feel like it needs to be. Its range is kind of short. It only goes up diagonally, and it doesn't go as far as you'd think it would. So it needs to be more on the front lines. I feel like it can't be in the back, but it's still a pretty good plant. That's not. I'm not trying to shit on it or anything. But Red Stinger. All right. Red Stinger is versatile, even though its other forms aren't that good. You mostly use Red Stinger for its like repeater like attacks pattern. Um, I don't know anyone that uses Red Stinger for its like walnut defense, but it's really versatile. It's really cheap. It's basically repeater but better. So that's why it's an A tier. Extremely versatile. Aki is A tier also, if not B tier, but I think it deserves A tier. It can bounce its projectiles from one zombie to another, and while it doesn't hit as many zombies as a melon pult would, it's still really good, and it's like half the cost of a melon pult. So yeah, Red Stinger and Aki do have counters, but that's not to say that there's like bad plants because of those counters. Endurian is I guess Enduring could be A tier. I'm not sure how much health it has compared to a walnut, but the fact that it is a wall and that it does hurt the zombies as well, and it's only 100 sun, that's good. That's good. It takes what walnut and spikeweed does and it makes it into one plant. That costs less sun. So that's a pretty good deal, at least in my opinion. I like it. Stalia. Stalia is A tier. If you want to put it in S tier, you can go ahead. Stalia slows down the zombies for 0 sun, and it has a fast recharge rate too, I believe. The slowing doesn't stack, but it slows in a 3x3 area, so that's good. Gold Leaf is really situational. When it is situational, though, it's. I guess it's decent. It does produce sun, sure. I think it produces sun slower than a sunflower. I'm not exactly sure, but it's still a really good plant nonetheless. Laser Bean is A tier. It shoots all the zombies in one lane with really good damage. Sure, it has a slow hit speed, but when thinking about the damage that it does, I'm pretty sure it makes up for that, especially with all the good synergies it has. Blover is A tier. Blover counters all flying zombies. All of them. If a Gargantuar throws its imp, you put Blover, the imp just flies away. And that's really good for jetpack zombies, the upgraded jetpack zombies, and balloon zombies in modern day. Citron. Citron is either B or C, in my opinion. I'll put him in B because Citron's plant food is really good. Citron's plant food is busted. So the problem with Citron is that it's a little bit expensive and it does only hit one zombie at a time. It doesn't do area damage. But its plant food makes up for that. It takes out the whole lane, and unless there's a zombie that won't get one shot by it, by the plant food, then it'll stop. But other than that, it'll take out every single zombie in the lane, which is amazing for area control. EM Peach is really good. I'm not sure whether to put in B or A. It does cost 25 sun, which is really cheap. It shuts down all machines in a certain area. I'm not sure what that area is, but the area is quite large. That includes imps and gargantuars since they are robots. It does shut down cone mechs, the force field zombies, and the football mech zombies. So that is really good. It's a pretty good stalling plan. Situational, but still pretty good. Infinite though, it's A tier. If you want it to be S tier, I wouldn't mind putting it in S tier, but I feel like that it does have counters to where it would be bumped down to A tier. Um, Infinite is a weaker walnut that regains health over time. Its plant food is really good. It only costs 75 sun. Yeah, it only costs 75 sun, I believe. And as long as the projector, my bad, the projector on the ground stays on the ground, then it won't die. But there are some zombies that can destroy the projector, like Zomboss, Gargantuars, Excavator zombies, and not barrel rollers, but like a Troglobite zombie can also push his graves or his icicles over it. But it's still a really good plant with a really good plant food. Um, he's a great counter to Fisherman Zombie. Magnifying Grass. I say C tier, if not D tier. All right. It does do good damage, and it only costs 50 sun. But if you don't have adequate sun production for it, it just won't be good. If you do, that's a different story. But it also doesn't really do well with crowds. It's just really hard to get the amount of sun production that you do need, especially when there's a huge crowd of zombies. If there's a huge crowd, you'll be rapid tapping on the magnifying grasses, and your sun production will diminish. Tile Turnip. Tile Turnip is a pretty good plant, if I do say so myself. I really like it personally, but um, there's not much to say about it. It starts out at 0 sun, and it does double its sun production, but as you level it up, that sun does, it gets cheaper. It gets cheaper to plant. It gets easier to plant. And yeah, it just gives you power tiles in any world, so it's not even situational, like Gold Leaf, for example. So it's really good. Sunshroom is also really good. For only 25 sun and having the ability to produce 75 sun, that is an investment. That is a major investment that you definitely want to invest in, especially when you give it time to bloom, like with Stalia or Stunyon or Iceberg Lettuce, for example. Sunshroom is a really good plant. Puffshroom, while getting nerfed from the first game, is still really good. My reason for saying this is because, yeah, sure, it does have a timer on it, so it does disappear after a little while, but, um, like, one plant food is, it's a portable power, tile turnip, alright? One plant food on one puffshroom will trigger the plant food on all the puffshrooms, and it will reset the timer on their health negation. Fume shroom. I wonder where to put fume shroom. I say fume shroom is probably B tier. It's a worse laser beam, to say the least. It's just a worse laser beam. That's it. It's cheaper than laser beam, sure. But it does less damage. It has a better hit speed. And it does have less range than laser beam. So that's why I'm putting it in B tier. Sunbeam is, it's alright. It's alright. I don't know many people that use Sunbeam like seriously. Its plant food is really good, especially when you use it on tanky zombies, but just not that good. Like you could just bring some producers into the level without bringing Sunbeam, and you'll still do good, if not decent. Magnet Shroom though, Magnet Shroom is really, 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 really situational. It can kill a zombie. It can kill the punk mohawk zombie from Neon Mixtape Tour. But other than that, I think it only affects like a few zombies, but that's it. It only affects the Poncho zombie from Wild West, the Night zombie from Dark Ages, and just regular bucketheads in general. But those are the only zombies it counters, I think. Fat B is A tier, I say. If not, you can put it in B tier if you want. It does have a really short range of 3x3. It's not an insta-kill plant, but it's basically Gloom Shroom, but it does less damage. So you could still use the garlic gloomstream strategy if you want. And it is immune to the boombox zombies like little lullaby thing that it does to nullify the plants. But apart from that, it's just a regular plant. I guess I could just put it in B tier. Celery Stalker. Celery Stalker is bad. It's a worse bonk choi. It has a shield in the front, but the shield like basically has no health at all. You don't really have a reason to use Celery Stalker over Bonk Choi. The only thing that you could argue is that like many zombies just walk over it, they can't eat it. But then again, it gets rolled over by barrel roller zombies and gargantuars, and I'm pretty sure excavator zombies do counter it as well. It's cheap for 50 sun, but it's also bad for 50 sun. Time Warp is situational, but it's godlike. Alright, it's only able to be used in Neon Mixtape Tour, and honestly, I can see why. It's no matter where the zombies are on the board, you use one time warp, and it sends them all the way back to the right side of the map. That is so good. That is so good. Sure, it has a long recharge rate, but that is so good. Imagine how overpowered that would be if you could use it in every single world. That would be so good. What? Alright. Time Warp is good. Garlic is bad. Garlic, while you can use Walnut 8 on it now, it doesn't have as much health as it did in the first game. It doesn't have as much use as it did in the first game. I don't even know why they even gave you Garlic in Neon Mixtape Tour, to be completely honest. It doesn't really serve its purpose. It does serve its purpose, but why would you need it? Why would you need it? This is a legitimate question. This isn't rhetorical. I want you to answer me, why would you need it? Maybe once I get an answer as to why you would need it, maybe my question will be answered. But as for now, it's in D tier. I haven't put any plants in F tier, but that's mostly because all the plants in here do serve a purpose, and none of them are worthless. Except for maybe a few Gemium or premium plants that I might go over. But apart from that, all of them serve a purpose. Spore Shroom is, I feel like it's C tier. It's basically, honestly, it's Cabbage Pult, but when it kills a zombie, it turns it into a Spore Shroom. That's pretty much all it is. That's pretty much all it is. It costs 150 sun, has a moderate recharge rate, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. It's just not a plant I would pick. It doesn't do that well with crowds either, so. And its plant food doesn't help with crowds, so that's bad. Intensive Carrot is also C tier. Um, while sure it can res a winter melon for only 100 sun, it just doesn't fit too well in the meta of reviving plants. Whereas you can just bring extra firepower to not have your plants die in the first place. And if you can, you usually have enough sun to recover that one plant that you lost. So Intensive Carrot isn't really that good. Maybe I'm sleeping on it a little. I'll admit it. Maybe I'm sleeping on Intensive Carrot. But to me, it's just not that special right now. Whew. Primal Pea Shooter. I say C tier. It doesn't do a good job of stunning zombies and pushing them back. But with crowds, it's just like the rest of the pea shooters. It does not do well with them. Alright, that's just me. This is just my opinion. I know some of you are gonna I know people watching this are gonna yell at me for putting it right here, but that's just me, alright? If you want, you can make your own tier list. If you want, you can make your own video yelling at me. Sure, I don't care. Alright? Primal Walnut is A tier, if not S tier. I'll put it in S tier. It's a really good wall plant. For only 25 more sun than a regular walnut, it can withstand, I think, 4 or 5 hits, probably 4. It can withstand 4 hits from a Gargantuar, a football zombie, and I feel like there's one more zombie, but I could be forgetting. Um, but yeah, it's really good, and it has a fast recharge rate as well, so that is always a good plus. Perfume Shroom. Hmm. Perfume Shroom is B tier. It's situational, yeah. But in the places where it is situational, it does decently. It does cost 150 sun, which isn't that bad. But the problem with it is that its recharge rate is so bad. And even when you level it up, it still doesn't get that good. So there is a point in leveling it up, but it just won't help out that much, and it only serves one purpose, to turn dinosaurs to your side, which, granted, is important, but just not that important. Primal Sunflower, A tier. Produces 75 sun instantly, which makes it probably better than Sunshroom, but yeah, it's just really good. Primal Potato Mine, though, is A tier, if not S tier. Its like recharge is almost instant, and it does 3x3 damage. It's an insta kill 3x3 damage, and it only costs 50 sun. Lilypad. Lilypad is A tier. It allows you to plant in water on Big Wave Beach, which is extremely important, seeing as there are a few levels that are completely covered by water. So, yeah, that's that's a that's a plus for it. Let's see. Tango Kelp, though, on the other hand, is C tier, if not D tier. It only brings down one zombie. It doesn't kill Gargantuars, but other than that, it'll insta kill any zombie in the water. It has a slow recharge rate, and it doesn't do that well with crowds, again. Which, in Big Wave Beach, there are usually a lot of crowds. Bowling Bulb, on the other hand, deals decently with crowds. Decently. It's basically the walnut bowling minigame if it was an actual plant. And I really like that aspect of it. At level 1, only the turquoise colored bulbs will regenerate first. But then at level 5, the blue ones will. And then at level, I don't even know, like 8 or 9 maybe, the orange ones will. I'm not too sure. But it is still a really good plant, at least in my opinion. Guacadile is also pretty good, because it can be planted in water without a lily pad, and it has a lawnmower effect to where if a zombie gets too close to it, it'll charge down the lane, dealing damage to all the zombies in the lane. Other than that, it's just a regular pea shooter. In my opinion, I just use Guacadile as the lawnmower. I don't even use it as a pea shooter that much. Because it's just better like that. It deals more damage as a lawnmower. Banana Launcher, Banana Launcher is B tier. It's expensive, it only deals damage to one tile, and the damage isn't even enough to kill a Buckethead. Um, and it also recharges. And it's also a tap to use plant, which is not as convenient. But that's not to say it's bad. That's just to say there are better plants to use over it. Moonflower is good. Moonflower powers up plants like Nightshade, Shadow Shroom, which is B tier in my opinion, Dusklobber, and Grimrose. Dusklobber is pretty good. Nightshade is also really good. It regenerates its petals, which is amazing. And it does moderate damage as well. But yeah, this is basically the tier list for all the plants. If I put your plant, the plant that you like the most, in a bad spot, I am sorry, but I do have adequate reasoning for doing so. Let's just move this guy right here. I do have adequate reason for doing so, but yeah, again, this is all just my opinion, and I just wanted to get this out there that most of the plants in this game are good. Most of them, well, actually, all of them, have a function, and they carry out that function pretty well. There are some plants that mirror themselves, but I might be talking about that one in the premium plant one. But yeah, apart from that, this is a tier list. Take a screenshot, do whatever you want with it. Peace!